Hi everybody, it's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, coming at you to talk about events of March 2022. And first of all, I apologize for the mess behind me. All my art stuff is down from the kitchen. There's some remodeling going on in the house I live in, and it's a little chaotic. The second thing is I don't want to forget to shout out to the guys at Know Thyself Podcast. Thank you so much for sending me so many awesome, wonderful people who are interested in their spiritual path and curious about everything. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's talk about everything going on. And one's going to be a little bit of a little longish story, but hope you can understand this. So Mercury was retrograde, it's not anymore. Venus was retrograde, not anymore. But there's something called like the shadow period or the pre-retrograde, and there's the post-retrograde. So let's just take Mercury. So when Mercury retrograded in Aquarius in, let's see, when was that? In the middle of January. It was right near Saturn when it did that, right? So here comes Mercury. Oh, I'm going to go backwards. Okay, here's Saturn. Goes back. And then, okay, now I'm going forward at the very beginning of February. And Saturn moves a little bit too. And then we get to this point where Mercury works with Saturn again. And that was, let's just say it's March 3rd. Is that right? March 2nd or 3rd. And so it's almost like it releases this whole kind of attention or focus point that the retrograde was about. And because Mercury is our thinking, and when it does go retrograde, it's internal, it can feel slower, almost like a bit of a twilight world, because it's just less direct communication, but that can be this internal communication. And Saturn can be, again, like this sort of freeze time or a stop motion kind of thing, or you could feel slightly depressed with that, or you could feel like, oh, is it still Mercury retrograde? Things are moving slowly. But once it passes, which it's doing right now, there can be a lot of breakthroughs because with Saturn, you're doing inner work. You're making progress that seems imperceptible. And the other part of Saturn is like sort of slow growth that feels like nothing's happening. But then it also is the reward. Like I graduated, I did it, I hit the mark. So you could kind of suddenly feel, and based upon some other things I'll talk about, well, wow, I actually am doing the right thing and I am making progress. And so it's that slow persistence can really, really help. And then you see it, whatever you're striving for is paying off. But there's this kind of, I had one client who was struggling with this the other day, and she was, oh, I've just been a Debbie Downer. And she's got the most Sagittarius of anybody in your chart. That's the last term you use for her. But she was feeling so frustrated or hopeless about not getting a job or whatever happened. And but that can be that Mercury Saturn, as everyone's kind of a temporary Debbie Downer. But then also it's like to look at these gradual changes and give them credibility. You know, I love Dr. Daniel Amen, who wrote Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. He actually has a new book out this week, first week of March. But he talks about micro moments of happiness, and that literally changes your brain and to get you out of depression. It's scientifically proven stuff. But there's something about that, noticing these micro victories or these micro steps, and then you get to that point where Saturn was like, wow, that was really a big step too. Like it just all came together. So keep looking for those little victories that are adding up, even if they seem they're not, they are. The other thing is that Venus was retrograde, and Venus did a similar thing. When it retrograded, it was near Pluto, and then Venus goes retrograde, and that was the middle of December, and then Venus goes direct at the end of January, and now we're waiting for Venus to pass that Pluto, which, same day, the 2nd and 3rd of March. So Venus is love, but it can also be money. So it's relationships, money, self-worth is also Venus. Pluto, like Saturn's the final planet we see with the naked eye, and Pluto's the final planet of the solar system so far. But they both have this sort of, dum dum dum, sort of ominousness with them. Sorry about that, something fell. So it can feel like, like you're never going to make the goals. And I was talking, I think, in December about what you're really passionate about and focusing on that you're passionate about it and not that you don't have it yet, but more of the passion that's moving you towards something rather than this kind of painful longing that I'm not there, I'll never get there, something like that. But so Venus is standing up for your beliefs, standing up for what you're passionate about. And again, it can feel a bit like it's not going to happen, or is like a desperation, anxiety. And as Venus is passing that Pluto again, but we did it. We moved past. Now the other cool thing is that Mars. Oh, the other thing I want to say, just with Venus. Venus was in Capricorn for so long. Usually Venus is in a sign for 3 or 4 weeks or so. And because of the retrograde, it was from early November until like right now, and it's going to go into Aquarius. And not that Aquarius is the best planet ever, but it's just like, oh my God, I'm finally in a new sign, you know? So it's a fresh take on things, and it's a lot more hopeful than this kind of Capricorn with the Pluto is kind of intense. So Venus changes signs, and then Mars happens to be coming right by, also in Aquarius. And so it's like, whee, it kind of pulls Venus along in this enthusiasm that Mars is. And it can feel like, a renewed energy towards your goals. Now, Mars can also be anger, and Mars with Pluto is a little more intense, as world situations are showing us, but doesn't have to mean horrible, horrible things. It actually can be things resolve really quickly with Mars and Pluto, but it can be issues of force, and it's more like in your personal life, forget global stuff, you can feel like, I need this need, and then it just kind of blows over, because Mars just gets resolved quicker, or you just get in a different direction, or you just calm down. So really watching out what you're just so fired up about. If it's great if it's a good thing to do, and then make sure you continue doing it or whatever. But if it's, I'm gonna tell them off, it can be like, oh no, I said that too strong. I should have waited till Monday or whatever. So just kind of passion's one thing, this excitement, enthusiasm, but just watching when it's barbed or tinged with anxiety or something like that, because then it could be acting the way you go, geez, I shouldn't have done that. But mostly the Venus and Mars, they'll leave Pluto behind there because Pluto moves so slow, and they start traveling together most of March. And that's really cool. We've actually been a little bit tracking even in February, but it's, Venus and Mars are, wonderful relationship planets, so that's cool. If you don't have planets in Aquarius or something, it's really great for new relationships, new fresh take on relationships, releasing the past in relationships or your own relationship past. It can be money breakthroughs, just a good mood. And so there's that vibration. And then there's also the sun's in Pisces, of course, and the planet Jupiter's in Pisces. And Jupiter stays in the sign for a whole year. But Jupiter is so happy, and the sun is very bright and positive. So those guys kind of traveling together the first 2 weeks of March also are a good pick-me-up, or a sense of, oh, this is why I went through all of this, or a kindness towards yourself. Like, look, I'm making progress in my life, and I can be compassionate and still go forward. And it's just celebrational too, So that's also great with the sun and Jupiter. Now, let's see. Okay, I talked all about that. I have my little scribbled notes. Nobody can understand but me. So let's talk about the new moon. It was interesting that this is happening because actually it was the new moons when the sun and the moon are together. So we got the sun, the moon, and Jupiter right next to each other when that happened, the 2nd of March. So it's all this new energy. So, new moons, of course, are fresh takes on things, and it's even more like buoyed up by that Jupiter. It's expanded. It's hopeful. It can also be a great time to reconnect to a meditation practice or a spiritual outlet, or yoga, and with the wisdom of the Saturn we've just had, the Mercury Saturn. How much is 5 minutes? Like 5 minutes of yoga or 10 minutes isn't like, I'm gonna go to yoga every day, 5 in the morning or something. It's like little bits are gonna add up and work, and it's that just the joy of having this inner connection, So that renewal, because Pisces represents spiritual growth and religion and things like that. So taking some actions that are your personal ritual that's fun for you, that makes you want to do it, and just don't burn yourself with a whole lot. If it wants to expand naturally one day, I'll do yoga for an hour, I got the time. But just say just 5 minutes, like even if it was, the Shavasana pose and so I'm present here or something, like that can really just expand and permeate your life. It doesn't have to be this huge thing. Sometimes Jupiter is like that big idea, So it's like, oh, we can just still go, little by little, and it adds up to something big. Anyway, and then when we have the full moon, which is on the 18th, it's kind of interesting because the moon's in Virgo, of course, with the sun's in Pisces, so full moon, the moon's going to be opposite in Virgo. And the planet Neptune, which is also in Pisces, and Neptune stays in the sign for 14 years, so don't worry about that. But the sun and Neptune will be, together, and then the moon opposite. And one of the things this can be is Virgo can be critical, and the sun and Neptune are like big dreams. Neptune's even a bigger dream than Jupiter, because it's like, we say Venus is the planet there, and then Jupiter is another higher octave, and then Neptune's the higher octave. So, but there's something about the big dreams and the big joy, and the moon in Virgo, it can be watching out for people that put your dreams down, or watching out for yourself putting your own dreams down, and that you shut out friends who say you can do it, you should try that new job, you should try that relationship, or whatever, make a weight loss goal or something. And watching out how you like poop on your own idea, or that you resist somebody giving you compliments or something like that. The other good thing though about that full moon is that sometimes Pisces is just so vast, and so is Neptune, because Neptune is Pisces planet actually, and it's like I don't know, like embarrassingly I watch American Idol, so let's say it's like I'm gonna be a star, I'm gonna be like the greatest singer ever, and yeah. And then Virgo is like, okay, should we take singing lessons? Or how are we going to let people know you sing? You're just only singing in the shower. So we could go to an open mic, we could try out for American Idol, you can go on YouTube or TikTok or something. But so sometimes Virgo just says, hey, how do we do the big dream? Let's take a little step. Let's do it. So there's that balance between criticism, like, you're never going to be a star, you're just singing in the shower. That could be mean Virgo. But the good Virgo is, you sound good in the shower. Would you want to try putting something on Facebook at least to your friends or something? So watching that balance and letting yourself be your own cheerleader with that Virgo, and the helper to make a plan rather than so. And then we are having, this is a whole different kind of concept, and I'll probably talk about this more in April, but the next new moon we have, the last day of March and the first day of April, is moon, sun and moon, of course, with Mercury, our thinking planet again, with Chiron. Chiron is I think it's a comet that got caught in our solar system, and we discovered it in 1977, and it has a 49-year orbit, and it is between Saturn and Uranus. And it has a similar kind of energy to Saturn in terms of like but it's more of even like the wounded healer, and these gifts that come from wounds and how we grow from wounds and stuff. So that also can be this idea of looking at either personal attack of yourself, because it's all in Aries, and or that when you have enthusiasm, all that Aries, how do you actually do it so you don't get disappointed? Chiron can almost protect you from disappointments, so you actually again do something. It's got that kind of structure element to it. So that's coming the end of the month, and but it can be again this more uplifting kind of especially if you're making new goals now. That other new moon is a lot of extra. New moons are always cool, but it's even more extra peppy. So it could continue the things you're promising yourself now. The one little hiccup can be, full moons are always full moons, right? And it's the personality over here, the sun, and the moon over here, the emotions. So it can be like high emotions that you aren't, like you're letting emotions run wild, full moons. So at the time of that full moon, also the planet Mars, which can be anger, is going to be squaring the planet Uranus. And it's only for a few days. And this would be like around the 18th, 19th, 20th, right there. Uranus is kind of random and sudden, and Mars can be anger. And just sort of watching people being really irritable, again, because of that Virgo moon's kind of critical, watching out if people are picky, you just don't react, and that you just don't make big decisions at that time, because it has extra just, I don't know, piss and vinegar behind it. It's like, no, it's just for a few days, and then it's gone. And you could reevaluate, don't do a big thing that seems like I'm guided to do this, or because Uranus can be like a lightning bolt, but it can also be kind of a kooky idea. It's like, it wasn't real good guidance, So just breathe through it. I find when Uranus is active, like taking an Epsom salt bath or even baking soda and sea salt, equal amounts, actually creates the ions of the like of the ocean or after a thunderstorm. Speaking of lightning, and it creates negative ions, the one that make you feel good. Strangely, positive make us feel bad. But like just soaking in a bath like that, just there's like an electrical thing that happens with Uranus, or even doing things that are like grounding. Like if it's warm enough, like go barefoot on the ground or lay on the ground. Even if you lay on your stomach on the floor, is very grounding to the nervous system, because Uranus can be like overload, and you can just, of course, belly breathing is always good too. Just remembering like I'm safe, I'm quiet. Whatever you're thinking of doing isn't so urgent, then you'll realize that, or someone else if they're trying to get you into something. All right, so that's the month of March 2022. And if you're interested in a reading, please contact me, alunamichaels.com. You can call me or text me at 248-583-1663. And yeah, if you want a reading, of course, contact me. And then I have my book on Amazon Kindle, the 12 spiritual gifts of the 12 astrological signs. That's it. Okay, so bye-bye for now, and I'll see you in April.